Hey everybody, how you doing? Mark here, standing in my kitchen, ready to make, well, lunch actually. It's just going to be me, so this is going to be a small little thing, but it's actually something kind of, I don't know, it takes me back to my childhood because this was my very first ever cookbook. I made a lot of stuff out of here, and it's great for kids. Okay, this is a Betty Crocker cookbook for boys and girls, and it is simply amazing. I mean, they give little illustrations of what utensils look like and what they're called. They show how to actually measure things. I mean, yeah, it's just really neat. They even give a little checklist here, make sure everything's in its place, kind of the mise en place things for you professional cooks out there. And yeah, it's really cool. A lot of little snacky items. Oh, this was one that I loved. Banana boats. God, those were so good. Basically, all it was you cut open the skin of the banana, try to leave it as whole as possible, scoop out and slice up the banana, mix it with whipped cream, put it back in the banana skin, cover it with some peanuts and a maraschino cherry. That's all it was. It was really good. Got some baked goods in here. Oh, look at that, tacos, yeah. But this is actually what we're gonna make today. Egg and bologna cups. And like I said, I haven't made these for years. And this, I mean, I got this back, I think this was back in 1977 was when I got this book. So I was like 6 years old and I was already starting to learn how to cook. So yeah, we're gonna use the oven, we're gonna use the stovetop. So if you wanna make this with your kids, that's fine. You might need to help them with the actual cooking on the stove. But God, this just takes me back. And I found this book the other day. I mean, look at that. It's a pear, a prune, a raisin, a maraschino cherry, a couple of mandarin slices down here, and a big piece of lettuce underneath. And, you know, a fun little snack for a kid, you know, and it's just canned stuff, you know. It's not like they're really having to peel and core a pear, you know. It's just out of a can. Good stuff. I mean, look at those little snacks. Isn't that nice? God, this was such a nice book. Made chocolate chip cookies and brownies and stuff like this all out of this book. All right, but let's get into these egg and bologna cups. All right, first thing we're going to need is some bologna. You can use any brand of bologna you want. As you can see, my package is half gone. We're going to need just maybe a teaspoon of butter. I'm only making 2, so I'm going to use 2 eggs. You can go up to maybe 6, 8, whatever, or however many of the bologna egg cups you want. A little bit of salt, not much because there's so much salt in the bologna. A little bit of black pepper and some paprika. Okay, for the actual cooking process, we only need a few utensils, okay? We're going to need a good size skillet, saute pan, whatever you want to call them. We're going to need a baking sheet because we're going to bake the egg in the bologna cup. You're going to need a pair of tongs, and that's it. All right, so the first thing I need to do is I need to start preheating my oven. So I'm going to put the bake for 375, not 350, 375. I'll start that up and get that pre-warming. Now I got my large saute here. I'm going to put that on just under a medium setting. So if you look at your dial and you think that the whole dial is 1 through 10, I'm at about a 4, okay? So that's got to heat up. Okay, while the oven is heating up, while the saute pan is heating up, I also need to grease my cookie sheet or my muffin sheet here. And I just use a paper towel. You can use a basting brush or something like that if you want. And you just grease up however many cups you need. If you're making 6, then you grease up 6. But I only want to make 2, so that's all I'm going to grease up. And the reason for the grease isn't so much to keep it from sticking, because there's still a lot of fat in bologna. So don't worry about that aspect of it, but I don't know if it's because the bologna ring is smaller than it used to be, but it's almost basically barely enough room to put your egg in. So yeah, it's more for keeping the egg from sticking if it ends up flowing over. Okay, now we only need maybe a teaspoon of butter in there. And if you have just a butter stick, just take the stick and swirl it around and have it just to where it's coating the bottom of the pan. That's all you really need. Just kind of swirl the butter around just a little bit. Now, like I said, you know, as a parent, you know, you might have a little trepidation of having your kids using your stoves and whatnot. Let them. They got to learn at some point, okay? So I'm going to lay my bologna in there. If you're doing more, you could probably fit 3 in a pan this size. But now I'm just going to let it sit here and just kind of warm through a little bit. I'm not really looking for brown or anything. I just want to warm the bologna just a little bit. Okay, once you see the bologna has kind of domed up like that, that means it's ready to flip. Just take it, flip it over. As you can see, there's really no browning going on, so don't worry about that. Okay, like I said, we're just warming the bologna through is all we're doing. And whatever you do, don't take your fork or your tongs or anything and try to poke holes in there to try to level off that bologna. Let it dome up like that. Okay, I'm going to say that's it. That's all we have to do. Just a couple of minutes. That's all it took. All right, I'm going to set this towards the back burner. Take your bologna and you place it in the cup. Take your tongue, kind of push it down. Now you'll need to create a couple of flutes. See how I'm kind of twisting the little parts in a little bit? You need to do that so the bologna sits down into the cup properly. There. Should be just about at the level of your muffin ring. Grab the other one. Put that in there. Make your flutes. You might have to make 3 or 4 flutes. Don't worry about those if you don't. All right, so there's that. Okay, so the bologna is ready to go. See, it's cool to the touch. You know, I can sit there and I can push it down with my hands and I can maneuver things a little bit. So it's not super duper hot. All right, now the tricky part though is to get the egg into that little cup. And one of the things I found out is you break the egg into a mason jar or any cup, and then pour the egg into the bologna from the jar. And it's okay if the yolk breaks, don't worry about it. And then you can pour it into your bologna cup just like that. If it flows over a little bit, that's no problem because we put that grease in there, that vegetable shortening. Okay, now what we're going to do though is we're going to add just a little bit of seasoning to the egg. And you don't need much salt because the bologna is full of salt. So you don't need much there. Now we'll give it a little sprinkling of black pepper. And a little bit of paprika. Just like that. Now we're going to put it in the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes. Set that in there. Set my timer. I'm going to start with the 15 minutes, and if I need to change that, you know, once it's done, I'll look at it and see if it's fully cooked. If not, then I'll put it on another couple of minutes. Okay guys, so I tell you what, I'm not following the recipe exactly as it's written, okay? Because I think the bologna has actually shrunk down in size over, you know, what, 40 some years. So the bologna ring, once it's in the cup and everything, you put your egg in there, you're supposed to put a little bit of milk in there. There's no room for the milk. If you use a large chicken egg, there's no room to add that little splash of milk. If you use a medium-sized egg, yeah, then you could probably get away with it. But back when I was a kid, I think the bologna rings were just a little bit bigger in size, so you had a little bit of room to add maybe a teaspoon and a half of milk, you know, just a little splash in there to kind of give it a little bit of a creamy consistency. So that's the only thing that's really changed, just I'm not putting in that little splash of milk. But another alternative that you can use, say your kid does not like a boiled egg or the fried egg and doesn't like to have that big yolk ball in there or something like that, scramble it. You know, take the egg, pour it in the cup, take a fork or a little whisk or something and just scramble it up a little bit, then put it in the bologna cup. You know, you can have this any way you want. And again, if you use a smaller egg, or if you're seeing that your bologna cup is just about done, you know, you got maybe just a couple of minutes left, sprinkle just a little bit of cheese on the top of it. Again, take it up just a little bit more. And of course, you can always add things like hot sauce, you know, sriracha, Tabasco, any type of pepper sauce you want. So yeah, you can really play with these quite a bit. You really can. All right, it's just about done. Let's take it out of the oven. I have to tell you too, guys, I'm feeling like really bad. I was trimming Missy's toenails because they were getting really long, and she likes to put her paw up and kind of like pull your arm, and her claws are kind of digging in, so it's like, okay, it's time to nip them down a little bit. And I got a really good cutters and everything like that, but I ended up nicking her cuticle under the nail, and it was bleeding all over the place. It got so bad that we actually took a little bit of cornstarch and water, made a little paste out of it, and basically adhered it onto the end of her nail to keep it from bleeding. So yeah, it was bleeding pretty good, and I'm just feeling really bad about it. Hey, she didn't even bark or yip or nothing. I cut it and she didn't flinch. She just kind of looked at me going, "Are you that stupid?" And I'm sitting there holding a little Kleenex on there and keeping her from moving around too much, you know. And Vic mixed up the cornstarch for me and brought it over, but I just felt so bad. She's doing fine though. She really is. I just couldn't get over the look out of her face looking at me going, "Really? Really?" All right, just a couple more minutes, guys. Okay, guys, there we go. Turn that off. And, oh yeah, that is definitely done. There we go. There's our egg in bologna cups. Now, because of the paprika, you get that nice little browning action on there. The edge of the bologna is just starting to turn a little crunchy, a little creamy. That's very good. I like that. And I'm going to just take my fork and just kind of go around the cup just to make sure it's free, because I did spill a little bit of eggness down there. Yep, just like that. Okay. Then you can go ahead and scoop it out. Place it on your plate. There we go. There we go, guys. I tell you, this takes me back to when I was a kid, making it for an after-school snack, making it for my breakfast before I go to school, maybe a treat during the summer vacation time. Just, yeah. It was so good. Now, you'll see right there that the 15-minute time creates just a little bit of a runny yolk. Not much, but there was a little bit of a runny yolk, and I like that. I'm happy. I love doing stuff that takes me back to my childhood. I really do. The best part is that little crispy part of the bologna. It almost tastes like bacon. All right, guys. This is Mark saying thanks again for watching. Try it. Try it. And you know what? You don't even have to use bologna. Use ham. Use turkey. Whatever. Just make sure it's a good, decently thick cut. Don't go for that really super thin deli stuff because that won't work. Try it, guys. You'll like it. Bye. See you on the road.